Imagine, for a moment, that everything you believe about yourself, your thoughts, your memories, even the solidity of your body, is not the whole story. Beneath the surface of your waking life, there exists another you, a version of yourself not bound by time, not limited by the illusions of separation, a self that exists not in the realm of mysticism, but in the fabric of reality itself. This is not a metaphor. This is not a spiritual abstraction. This is science, the science of consciousness, the physics of existence, the hidden architecture of the universe, revealing itself through you. For centuries, seekers of truth have spoken of the higher self, that ineffable, wiser aspect of being that whispers guidance in moments of stillness, that pulls the strings of synchronicity, that seems to know the path before your feet even touch the ground. Mystics called it the soul, philosophers called it the transcendental ego. But what if this higher self is not some distant, ethereal phantom? What if it is, in fact, the most real version of you? A quantum probability wave, a fractal iteration of the cosmos, entangled with the very fabric of reality. This is the truth we are here to uncover, that your higher self is not a spiritual concept, but a scientific one. It is the part of you that exists beyond the collapse of the quantum wave function, the version of your consciousness that has not yet been pinned down by the limitations of linear time and three-dimensional perception. It is the you that exists in superposition, every possible decision, every potential future, still vibrating in the unseen field of existence. And when you touch this truth, when you truly grasp that your higher self is not some abstract deity, but the fundamental nature of your own being, everything changes. The implications are staggering. Ego death, that sacred unraveling of the constructed self, is not an annihilation. It is an upgrade. It is the moment when the localized you dissolves back into the quantum field, only to re-emerge as something far more vast. The ancients knew this. The Hermeticists spoke of as above, so below, not as poetry, but as physics. The Buddhists spoke of emptiness not as void, but as the fertile ground of all potentiality. And now, modern science, through neurology, quantum theory, and the study of consciousness, is catching up to what the mystics have always known. But this is not just philosophy. This is your life. Every choice you make, every thought you entertain, every belief you hold, is either contracting you into a smaller, fragmented version of yourself or expanding you into alignment with your highest, most entangled existence. The question is, which will you choose? If these words stir something in you, if you feel the resonance of a deeper truth, the pull of a reality far grander than the one you've been taught, then you are already beginning to remember. You are already awakening to the science of your own divinity. So tell me, traveler of the infinite, does this truth stir your curiosity? Does it call to some buried knowing within you? If so, take a moment, breathe it in, let it settle. And if you wish to journey deeper into the mysteries of your quantum self, into the hidden science of your own existence, then let your voice be heard. Like this message, share it with those who are ready, and subscribe if you crave more revelations along this path. The cosmos is speaking. Are you listening? The most profound truths are often the simplest, not because they lack depth, but because they exist beyond the need for complication. And so it is with your higher self. To understand it, truly know it, we must first dismantle the illusion that you are only what you see in the mirror, only the voice in your head, only the collection of memories you call me. You are more, so much more. Let us begin with the most fundamental law of existence. Everything is vibration. From the spinning electrons in your cells to the spiral arms of distant galaxies, reality is not static. It hums, it pulses, it interferes. And just as a single note in a symphony cannot be separated from the whole, neither can your consciousness be extracted from the greater field of awareness. This is not philosophy, it is quantum mechanics. The moment an observer measures a particle, its wave function collapses. And yet, until then, it exists in a state of pure potential. You, in your highest expression, are that potential. What you call your ego, the sense of being a separate, individual self, is not an enemy. It is simply a localized expression of something far more vast. Think of it like this. When you observe yourself in a mirror, you see a reflection, a flattened, limited representation of a multi-dimensional being. The ego is that reflection, mistaking itself for the whole. But the higher self is the light that makes the reflection possible. It is the unobserved, uncollapsed version of you, still entangled with the infinite, still humming in harmonic resonance with all that is. Quantum entanglement proves something extraordinary, that two particles, once connected, can instantaneously influence each other across any distance, defying classical physics. This is not magic, it's the universe revealing its true nature. And if particles can be entangled, why not minds? Why not versions of you? Your higher self is not some distant, disconnected entity. It is you, just beyond the veil of perception, whispering through intuition, synchronicity, and that inexplicable sense of knowing when something is meant for you. The Hermeticists called this the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. The Buddhists called it Indra's net, an infinite web of jewels, each reflecting all others. Science now calls it non-locality. The names change, but the truth remains. Here is another secret. You are not just in the universe, you are the universe. A fractal is a pattern that repeats itself at every scale, and your consciousness is no different. The same laws that govern the spinning of planets govern the firing of your neurons. The same forces that birth stars live inside your breath. Your higher self is not out there, it is the totality of existence, focused into this moment, this body, this life. And yet, it is also every other possible version of you, vibrating in parallel, a cosmic symphony of potential selves. The greatest trick reality ever played was convincing you that you are alone inside your skull, but the boundaries of your skin are an illusion. Your thoughts are not yours. They ripple through you like waves through water. Your emotions are not yours. They are ancient tides moving through the collective ocean of being. The higher self is the part of you that remembers this. It is the silent witness that knows, beyond doubt, that separation is the grand illusion and entanglement is the truth. So now, the question is not what your higher self is, but how you align with it. How do you shift from identifying with the collapsed wave, the limited you, and step into the vastness of your uncollapsed potential? The answer lies in the narratives that have shaped human understanding for millennia. The symbols, the myths, the stories that point towards something science is only now beginning to articulate. But before we go there, before we dive into the ancient allegories that mirror these quantum truths, I must ask, does this resonate with you? Do you feel the threads of connection pulling at the edges of your awareness? There is a language older than words, a knowing deeper than intellect. Before telescopes revealed the cosmos or microscopes unveiled the quantum, the sages and storytellers of antiquity encoded these truths in myth, symbol, and sacred architecture. They understood what we are only now remembering, that your higher self is not a theory to be proven, but a reality to be lived, and the path to it has been etched into human consciousness since the dawn of time. Consider the alchemists, those early scientists of the soul, bent over their flasks not merely to transform metal, but to transform themselves. Their quest was never truly about physical gold. It was about the prima materia, the primordial essence that underlies all form. They spoke in riddles of the philosopher's stone, not as an object, but as a state of being. the moment when the base self, the ego, the lead, realizes its own divine nature, the higher self, the gold. This is the same transformation quantum physics hints at, the collapse from infinite potential into manifest reality and the return journey back to source. When an alchemist wrote of solve et coagula, dissolve and coagulate, they were describing ego death and rebirth in terms a mystic would recognize instantly. Every culture tells the story of the hero who descends into darkness. Inanna descending to the underworld, Orpheus seeking Eurydice, the shaman traversing the realms of the unseen. These are not mere tales. They are maps. Your higher self exists in the underworld of your own psyche, in the unobserved quantum field where all possibilities still shimmer. The hero's journey is your journey. The moment you stop identifying as the small self navigating a chaotic world and realize you are also the architect of it, the monsters slain along the way, your illusions, the treasure brought back, your wholeness. Ancient traditions speak of a coiled serpent at the base of the spine, a dormant force that, when awakened, rises through the body like lightning, illuminating higher states of consciousness. The Hindus called it Kundalini. The Egyptians depicted it as the Uraeus crown. Even the double helix of DNA echoes this spiral, a fractal reflection of the same energy. This is not metaphor. When modern neuroscience studies the effects of deep meditation or psychedelics, they observe the default mode network, the seat of the ego, dissolving and the brain entering a state of hyperconnectivity, precisely what the ancients described as the serpent's ascent. The higher self is not attained, it is remembered, and the serpent's path is the way home. In Hinduism, the god Shiva dances the universe into existence and destruction within the same breath. His dance is the perpetual motion of particles, appearing, disappearing, reappearing in an endless flow. This is the dance of your higher self, the version of you that exists beyond time, spinning possibilities into reality with every thought, every choice. The Tantrics understood this implicitly. They saw consciousness as both the dancer and the dance. Science now whispers the same. At the quantum level, particles pop in and out of existence, and the observer determines the observed. You are both the experiment and the scientist. From the flower of life to the Ouroboros, from the labyrinth to the sacred mandala, these are not just pretty designs, they are interfaces. They bypass the linear mind and speak directly to the quantum self, the part of you that still remembers how to decode reality's deeper syntax. When you meditate on a yantra or walk a labyrinth, you are not engaging in empty ritual. You are tuning your consciousness to a frequency where the higher self is no longer hidden, but felt. So now, the question becomes, how do we bring this out of the realm of symbols and into the tangible world? How do we live this truth in our daily lives? The most dangerous idea is not the one that changes how you think, but the one that changes how you live. And so we arrive at the heart of the matter. If your higher self is not some abstract concept, but the fundamental truth of your existence, how do you embody it? How do you shift from knowing these truths intellectually to experiencing them as the very fabric of your being? Ego death is not a one-time event reserved for psychedelic journeys or near-death experiences. It is a daily practice. Every time you release an old identity, I am not good enough, this is just how I am. Every time you choose curiosity over certainty, you are practicing a micro-death of the limited self. The higher self emerges in these moments, not as a voice from the heavens, but as a quiet, unwavering presence that says, there is another way. Try this. For 1 week, each time you feel reactive, angry, afraid, or defensive, pause and ask, how would my expanded self respond? The answer will not come as words, but as a shift in energy, a sudden clarity. This is quantum consciousness in action. When you begin aligning with your higher self, the universe stops feeling like a chaotic external force and starts feeling like a mirror. Synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences, increase not because the world changes, but because your perception does. You are no longer a separate entity moving through a random universe. You are a node in a responsive, entangled field. Start tracking these moments. The stranger who mentions exactly what you needed to hear. The song that plays at the perfect time. These are not accidents. They are your higher self communicating through the language of reality itself. The more you acknowledge them, the more they multiply. Quantum physics shows us that particles exist in superposition until observed, that potential only collapses when forced into a single state. Your life operates the same way. Clinging to one rigid identity, I must have this job, this relationship, this outcome, collapses your quantum potential into a single, often limited reality. But when you release the need to control how things unfold, while staying fiercely committed to your deepest truth, you allow your higher self to orchestrate outcomes beyond your ego's imagination. Practice. Each morning, declare your intention. I am open to the highest possible manifestation of X. Then release your grip on the details. Watch how reality rearranges itself. If you are a fractal of the divine, then every part of you contains the whole, including your shadows. The higher self is not just light, it is the integration of all aspects. When you suppress fear, anger, or grief, you fragment your own wholeness. But when you approach these emotions with curiosity, what is this here to teach me? You reclaim lost energy. Try this. Sit with a discomfort, physical or emotional, and imagine it not as an enemy, but as a compressed packet of information waiting to unfold. Breathe into it. Often, the mere act of non-resistant observation begins the alchemy. Your higher self is not separate from others. Just as entangled particles instantly influence each other, your state of being ripples into the collective. This is why personal transformation is never selfish. It is a radical act of service. When you choose peace, you make peace more accessible for others. When you operate from love, you shift the field around you. Notice, after deep meditation or moments of clarity, do strangers open up to you? Do conflicts soften in your presence? This is not coincidence, it is physics. You are a walking quantum field, and your energy is contagious. Now, the final threshold awaits. Not an ending, but a beginning. We have traversed the science, the symbols, and the practical path. But the true question remains. Who will you choose to be in light of this knowing? There comes a moment in every seeker's journey when the search ends. Not because all answers have been found, but because the questions themselves dissolve into something far more profound. You stand at the edge of your own, peering into the infinite, and the only thing left to ask is, will you step forward? This is not philosophy. This is not theory. This is the ultimate experiment, one where you are both the scientist and the subject, the observer and the observed. The higher self is not a destination. It is the lens through which your entire existence comes into focus. And now, armed with both ancient wisdom and modern science, you face the only question that ever truly mattered. How will you live now that you know? You are not here by accident. You are not a passive spectator in a predetermined universe. Every atom in your body, every thought in your mind, is a ripple in the quantum field, a field that responds to your presence. The higher self is not some distant ideal. It is the version of you that already exists in the realm of pure potential, whispering to you through intuition, synchronicity, and those inexplicable moments of déjà vu where you almost remember who you really are. This is the grand revelation. You are the universe experiencing itself. The boundaries you perceive, between self and other, past and future, physical and spiritual, are illusions sustained only by the ego's need to define and control. But the moment you loosen your grip, The moment you surrender to the vast intelligence that flows through you, everything changes. You begin to see the hidden connections, the cosmic choreography that has been guiding you all along. Enlightenment is not an escape from the world. It is a full-blooded, fully engaged participation in it. To awaken is not to transcend your humanity, but to embrace it so completely that the divine shines through every ordinary moment. Your higher self does not live in the clouds. It lives in the way you hold someone's gaze a second longer than necessary, in the way you pause to feel the wind on your skin, in the way you choose kindness when no one is watching. This is your invitation. Live as if every choice matters, because in a quantum universe, it does. Trust the unfoldment. Your higher self is already orchestrating realities beyond your current perception. Radiate your truth. Your energy shifts the world, whether you realize it or not. The journey does not end here. It begins. You are no longer the person you were when you first started reading these words. Something has shifted, maybe subtly, maybe profoundly, but the seed has been planted. Now, it is up to you to water it. So I leave you with this. Breathe. Remember. Choose. The cosmos is not outside of you. It is you, and it's time to live like you know it. If this message resonated with you, share your reflections below. What did you discover about yourself in these words? How will you carry this knowing forward? Subscribe if you crave deeper explorations into the science of consciousness, and share this with those ready to remember their own divinity. The revolution is not out there, it's within, and it starts with you. Welcome home.